Hello, and how are you today? We have something a little different. Um, if you are watching this, or if you're actually listening to this on audio, you might want to come back later and just catch it on video because this is a very visual experience we're having today. But I will do my darndest to explain so that maybe you don't even have to go back and look at this. So here is what I want to talk about. I'm calling it the power of post-it notes. That's kind of something to be fun, right? Something to be a little silly, but and something to catch your attention because what happens is that, well, let me rewind and tell you where this came from initially. First thing I want to do is I want to show you um, what my usual workout looks like. This is what this is what if you're watching via visual, you'll see that every day, every other day, it looks the same. And it's been like this for years. But I mean, that's okay. It works for me until it doesn't. Because what happens to all of us is myself included, is we'll have that moment where all of a sudden we're maybe a little bit bored or a little bit like it's time for something different. Maybe a little bit of a need for a reset. And so what I thought about was that every so often, like if I'm traveling, if I'm leading an adventure, yeah, I'm getting a reset. It's different. But every so often I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do that same workout again, even though it's been working for me for a very long time. That doesn't mean that we always want to do the same thing. So here's what happened. I I used to, or I guess I still do, use a particular quiz for my new clients. And they go through this quiz, and at the end, it gives them a couple of things. One, it gives them like where they're starting from, what's their level. And when I'm saying what's their level, it's not like, what's your level in, the big scheme of things. It's like, where are you and where do you want to begin? Because you've heard me say it a million times, but if you start too big, right? If you just like, that old go big or go home kind of thing, if you do that, it is never sustainable. Okay. We need to start where we're at and then grow into whatever it is that, we want to do with our fitness. Talking about fitness, let's just talk about like growing into our fitness. I've had a lot of clients who they initially want to work out like 5 days a week. They want to, hit the gym. They want to do the run. They just want to do all the stuff, which is amazing and awesome, but they haven't been doing any of the things for years. So it's not sustainable. That's the first thing to think about is what level are you starting at? And that's where this quiz came in for my clients. It'd be like, let's see what you've been doing and let's see where you should start. And it's like level 1, 2, 3. No big deal. Just like level one's a little bit less intense than level 3. That's all it is. So that's the first step. Then I took that same quiz and I went, you know what? When I wrote my book, I guess my book came out last year, Fit, Active and Ageless for Life. When I wrote this book, one of the things I thought about was it's kind of hard for somebody to just read a book and understand everything I'm talking about. So we added the quiz in the book too. And to this point, I think, I don't know, 2,000 people have downloaded that quiz and taken it. And what it does is it gives them a really good plan at the end, a really good plan. In fact, if you're watching on the video, I was going to show you, and you'll see this again in a minute, but this is like the beginner, right? And I was so excited about this plan because there's just like everything in it and it's all the stuff and it's so much fun. And then what I heard was, oh my gosh, that is so overwhelming, which was not what I wanted to do. And I realized that sometimes going back to what I said earlier, when you give somebody too much, we don't know where to start. We don't know, like, it's like we have so many options that we don't know which options to choose. So that's where this came from today. And if you are watching a replay, you will see the link for the quiz itself. If you haven't taken it in the replay links in the show notes or wherever you're viewing from. If you're on live, you can check in the chat and there will be a link and you can take the quiz down. Why not? Like, work along with me. So that's the first thing. And that's where it came from. is that, how do I make this easy? Because when things are easy, things get done, right? Like I can give you for instance, in my life, I said that, I do kind of the same workout. It's very similar. Okay. I switch up what I do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but it's very similar. The things that change are, how many times I do something or how much weight I lift. That's what shifts. But when I write it out and it's very clear, like Monday is this and Wednesday is that, then it's very simple to follow, right? It's just like, I don't have to think about it. Because if we think about things, we don't do them. You probably heard me talk about the old SPA is what we call it in here, friggin' plan ahead. It's so true. Like when we don't plan ahead, when we have to think, we just don't do. I mean, because everybody's busy, right? We are all so busy. So that's the first step. The second piece is that, once you take the quiz, then instead of getting that response of all the things you could do, and go, oh my gosh, this is too much stuff. What we're going to do is we're going to take these and we're going to start really small and then we're going to build up from there. That's where the whole idea of the Post-it comes in. And the last thing is, I mean, this is the real big thing, is that, well, there's two pieces to the real big thing. The first one is that you're going to see that you can move things around. Okay. Which matters because if we get busy, I mean, today's a really good, for instance, for me. This morning, there was a lot of stuff going on. Usually I don't have really busy mornings, and I had a workout to do. And my first thought, my first inclination was, well, I'll just move it till tomorrow, right? I'll just toss it to the next day. But the timing wouldn't have worked for me. So when I looked at my schedule, I went, you know what? The timing doesn't work. Just do the thing. And I did. And you know what? Everything worked out. It all worked itself out. So keep that in mind. But there are days when, I will say, hey, you know what? That's not going to work for me today. Let's move it to another day. Totally acceptable. That's what we should be doing because our fitness plans, our workouts, our exercise, whatever we call it doesn't matter what we call it. It needs to work in our lives. If it doesn't work in our lives, we won't do it. Okay. So make it work. And then the last thing is make it fun. Okay. Whenever we're doing this, like even like, I don't know, I'll give a for instance today, I'm just doing my weights, right? There's nothing super, super excitingly fun about that. So I was listening to some music I like. I was listening to an audio I enjoy. I was adding in things to it that would allow me to, expand my fun. But then there's other parts of this. Like a lot of times what I'm doing is a lot of fun. Like maybe I'm going to go out and go for a hike, or maybe I'm going to go for a paddle or go for a cycle, whatever it is. Like those are fun things. So make it fun for you. Okay. That is really important. And there are a lot of things in here in the plan that make it fun. So let's talk about a plan. So when you go through your quiz, let's assume that you get level 1. We'll go through all 3 levels, but we're going to start with level 1. So level 1, it's called beginner, but basically what it is it's somebody who's restarting, right? You haven't been doing this for a while. It's time to start over. It's time to restart, whatever. And maybe you're starting out at that point where you need to get your body warmed up to do more. Okay. So I always throw 3 pieces into to a fitness plan. One of them is mobility, and we'll talk about that in a second. One of them is cardio, and one of them is resistance. So mobility allows us to warm up our joints, to get the synovial fluid flowing, to make sure that if there's something that isn't feeling good, we deal with it, right? Like when I first start out in the morning, I'll do my mobility work, and what I'll notice is, you know what, that left hip is it's not super happy. So what can I do a little extra to make it better, to make it happier, to get rid of some of the uncomfortableness, because we don't want to just push through. That old, what was, I don't even remember, no pain, no gain. Forget that. That is so much BS. If you have something that isn't feeling good, then we'll talk about how to work with it. Okay. So mobility is number one. Cardio. So cardio it's that thing that a lot of people that follow me really like. And it's because we talk about the hiking, we talk about the kayaking, the biking, yeah. We talk about the cardio. And cardio is lots of fun. It's a thing to do. It's important for us. It's important for, the whole facet of our body. And it's also important to not do too much of it. If you've listened to me on the podcast before, you'll know um, I limit my cardio to some degree. I usually during the week, it's about 45 minutes or less. On the weekends, well, I allow myself to go wild and do whatever the heck I want. But 45 minutes or less allows you to not burn muscle. Okay. As we get past the 40s, into the 40s, actually, really, when we're in our 30s, we're starting to burn muscle. Okay. So then in the 40s, we start burning more muscle. If the whole menopause thing comes along, then that just that's just a muscle storm is what that is. So you want to make sure that you're not burning muscle, but you want to make sure that you're still moving and you're having fun. Okay. Your cardio should be something that you enjoy. And then the last piece is the resistance. And I've said it a million times. People have resistance to resistance. The truth is that is the piece that's going to keep us moving, keep us healthy, keep us upright and well for the rest of our lives. Okay. We have to add some sort of resistance in. And there's a whole lot of options in here that I'm giving you. So let's talk about them. So on somebody who starts at a level 1, hang on one second. We're going to start with the first plan. And the first plan is level 1. Like I said, somebody who hasn't been doing this for a while. Or maybe never has done before. Doesn't matter. This is where we're starting. So you get that result in your quiz for a level 1. So here's what happens is I say in mobility, we have a whole list of mobility things. Pick 2 options and do them for 3 to 4 times a week. That's all. Just 2 options, 3 to 4 times a week. So in mobility, it might be something that I talked about. And then there's a lot of videos I've done in the past of where we just warm up our joints. You start at your feet. You get those ankles going. You get your feet going. Your hips going. Your knees going. Just work yourself all the way up. All you're doing is spending 5 minutes warming up your joints. Maybe you're circling your shoulders. Maybe you're circling your ankles. That's a really easy mobility. Everybody has 5 minutes. Okay. Everyone has 5 minutes. That's one idea. Another one, and I'm not going to go deep into all of these things, but it's like using trigger balls. And let's talk about that in another level. One of them that you might like, I have in there, massage. Massage is mobility. Okay. So there you go. Schedule a massage. Yoga, yin yoga. When you do yoga, once again, if you haven't been doing it, start easy. Don't just figure that you just got to go all in. Start easy. Start with a beginner group. If you do yin yoga, which is really just taking a few poses and holding them for an extended period of time, those poses are the easy poses. This is my kind of yoga. It's the child's pose. It's the legs up the wall. It's cat cow. It's maybe downward dog, but it's those poses that we all know that are very body gentle, and you just hold them for a little bit more extended time. That's a really great mobility. And then, we've got other things in here, like maybe a Pilates, beginner again, okay? Or even physiotherapy, okay? That's another good one to add. But this is all mobility. So what we're going to do right now, this is where the Post-it notes come in. I'm going to pretend like you are my client and you are a level 1, and we want to pick 2 pieces out of the mobility that you're going to do. And one of them is that you're going to do what I'm going to call basic mobility, which is what I talked about earlier. 5 minutes rolling the joints, warming up the joints. And then you're going to also do, let's add massage. So now you're going to do massage 1 day a week. So you've got 1 day of massage and you've got let's make it 3 days of mobility. Okay. So you'll see where all these post-it notes come together in just a second. So then the next piece is that you got to think about your cardio. So everyone has a different level of cardio. Okay. I want you to start with what works easily for you. Okay. Maybe you're like one client of mine hadn't been doing anything for a very long time. So, and she also had a very long driveway. Her cardio became simply going down and getting the mail every day. And she said to me, she went like, that's really lame, Kelly. I said, but are you doing that already? And she said, no. So I said, there's your cardio. Let's just start with that for a couple of weeks and get moving. Okay. Maybe that's the kind of cardio you need. Or maybe you need to do a 2-mile walk. But some of the things that I've got on the list for you, walking, high intensity training. Well, let's step into that in a little bit later. But even yard work. People say to me, I worked in the yard for 3 hours. I was like, counts as cardio, doesn't it today? Yes, it actually counts as total body workout, really. But we'll just throw that in the cardio. Or maybe a hike, if you like a hiking, or doing stair workouts. If you're somewhere where already you're experiencing, when this goes live, you're experiencing the cold weather. You're experiencing the inability to go outside. Or if you're in Houston and it's still like 90 degrees, whatever it is. Maybe you want to do that workout inside. So it becomes the stairs, doing the stairs. And when I say doing the stairs, here's my idea of doing the stairs. If you're going to go up and if you have stairs in your house and you're going to go up and down, you're going to be super careful. Okay. Like this is where people, have problems. And it's because if we're really used to just going up and down the stairs, then we're just going up and down, mindless, right? No mindless when we're doing these things. If you're going up, down the stairs, you're going to be, aware of where the handrail is. You're going to be aware of stepping, in synchronicity, right? And 1, 2, 3, 4, and do it the way it works for you. Someone that I work with, this goes back probably 2 or 3 years ago. It's probably 3 years ago. To go upstairs, would have to take a step, bring the other foot up, take a step, bring the other foot up, take a step, bring the other foot up. Going down was the same way. It was a workout. This last year, she did this amazing hike that involved like 2,000 stairs. And she started at a beginner level and she just kept going. So pick something. What we're going to pick here is we're going to pick stairs, and we're going to pick a walk twice a week. Okay. So if you're a beginner, you're going to actually do from the list, you're going to do cardio 1 to 3 times a week. So I'm giving her or you, if we're working together, stairs one day, a walk a couple of times. And then the last one is in resistance. Just pick one thing from the list. Okay. Like this is where everybody gets hung up, is they're like, oh my gosh, resistance training. I don't go to the gym. Don't go to the gym. You don't have to. There are so many things you can do. In fact, I'm going to read a few of them. One of them is just bodyweight exercises. If you're not sure what that looks like and we're not working together one-on-one, then just get online and look for a beginning body resistance training program. And I used to do this years ago. I used all body weight when I was working out. So body weight's a good one. Resistance bands are amazing. You can travel with them. They're super versatile, and you can just do whatever you want to with them. Resistance bands online. There's 2,766 resistance band training programs out there. You could also, and I'm keeping this in beginner level 1, right? You may not be ready for weights, but if you are ready for weights, start light. Okay. And there's a couple of reasons to start light. One of them is that you want to get your muscles warmed up to what you're doing. You don't want to just go in and go, hey, you know what? I used to curl 15 pounds and my gosh, I'm going to do it again. Forget that. Start light. The other reason is that our muscles get strong, our muscles grow faster than our joints catch up with them. Okay. So our joints tend to be a little more, let's call it delicate. I don't know if that's the right word, but a little bit, yeah, we'll call it delicate to the muscle. So you want to keep your joints building along with your muscle so you don't overdo it. Okay. So if you're doing weights, start light, just start light. And remember, the most important piece about doing weights is form over aiming. Wow. And Romeo agrees with me on that. So then in here, I also had a good one is like Jazzercise. That's a great, Jazzercise uses on certain ones of their training, certain ones of their classes, they use resistance light weights to go with the workout. So let's throw something in here. We're going to do bands. Okay. I love bands. I think bands are the easiest way to get started with resistance. If you don't know where to start with bands. Okay. And we've got here, we want to pick an option of the list before for 1 or 2 times a week. We're going to do bands twice a week. Okay. And you're going to go out there and you're going to find one of those 2,766 classes I told you are online, and you're going to pick out one and just do it. Do it for a couple of weeks. Do it for a month. So here's where all of your Post-it notes come in, because it sounds like a lot of stuff when we first talk about it. And I'm going to stroll over here to my handy dandy whiteboard, and here's what I've got over there. Kind of hard to see, but I'm going to tell you what it says. So basically, I took everything from that beginner class or beginner level, and all we did was say, okay, we're going to 4 days a week, we'll do mobility. Okay. And those 4 days a week can be, the way I picked it was Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Friday. You know, it's all work for your schedule. Doesn't matter. Whatever works for your schedule. 4 days of mobility. Then I also dropped within there a walk on 2 of the mobility days, bands on 2 of the mobility days, and then stairs on the weekend. So stairs may not be your idea of fun, but like my weekend is always something that I'm looking for that I can do for fun. So you double up. That's how you make it really simple. The other piece is that when you're looking at that, what you realize is that mobility is going to take you 5 minutes. Maybe it's going to take you 15 or 20 minutes if you're doing a yoga class. Okay. But it's not that much time. Okay. I always have my standard, warming up the joints as my first go-to if I have a busy day. Okay. I usually move my yoga to a day that I'm not lifting weights so that I have a little bit more time. You just move it around. Okay. Your cardio. When you're starting out, your cardio doesn't have to be 45 minutes. Have it be 20-minute walk. Have it be a 10-minute walk, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Doesn't matter. Okay. If you are doing cardio and you're doing a walk and you want to increase it, right? You want to up level your cardio, then start bringing your arms into it. Okay. Like, the old arm swing, you would be shocked at the difference that makes in your heart workout from just a regular walk to a swinging of the arms. Another thing you can do if you feel like you need to step it up, literally step it up. Like, do high steps while you're walking, step faster. It really doesn't matter. Like, just move. Your bands, you're only doing them twice a week. Find a way that you can make it work. So bands are the piece where you really want to preset what you're going to do. Okay. The way you preset what you're going to do is you have your band workout already chosen for the week. Okay. So you do this whole, you do your whole post-it note workout on Sunday or Monday morning. I prefer Sunday because I like people to start on Mondays. And then you already know what your band workout's going to look like. You have places to attach your band. Like that's a big piece, right? Like people say to me all the time, well, I was going to do the bands today, but oh man, I couldn't figure out where to put them. Well, figure it out before the day starts. And one of the ways that you can do bands is like if you have, you can use like your foot to stand on a band and do curls or kickbacks with your triceps or, military presses. Like you can use your body to hold your band. There's a lot of ways of doing this. I happen to have taken anchor belts, like big old, I guess they would be called an eye bolt, and used anchors to screw them into the wall. So they're not going to come out. I'm not that strong. But I put them in 3 levels, right? One high, one medium, one low. But there's actually this very slick, and I will find the name and put it in the show notes for you. But it's a wood. It's a plastic piece, it's like a 2x8 that's made out of plastic, but it has all the holes for the bands and it attaches to the wall. So you can move your bands up and down. I also have an extraordinarily heavy old like filing cabinet that probably weighs, I don't know what it weighs, a couple 100 pounds. I use that sometimes. But find something that you can use. Okay. Know that you're going to have to anchor or else you want that band workout set up first. Okay. So that is the simplest way to get started if you're at level 1 in the quiz. You don't have to do anything more than that. Do this for a month. And I promise, if you do it for a month, and you stick to what you say you're going to do, you're going to do it for a lifetime. Even if, and even when things happen, you get off course and you have to come back and restart. There is no shame in restarting. Okay. None. No shame whatsoever. It happens to all of us. I just came back from a trip that I was leading out in the Smoky Mountains. I came back with a cold, and it probably took me 3 days before I got back into my routine. It was just a matter of time to restart now, Kelly, right? We always have to restart. We'll have times in our life where we're just like, we are rock stars and we're 3, 4, 6 months into this and doing everything that we need to do. Something happens. We go on a trip. We trip and we can't do certain things, whatever, right? There is no shame. Never, ever, ever worry about restarting. All right. Let's talk about if you're a level 2. Okay. Level 2 is very similar to what we just did, except you're going to up level your game. Okay. So let's say you pick level 2. Your mobility is going to be 2 options, 3 to 5 times a week. If you're at a level 2, I'd really like you to see you doing 5 times a week. And remember, inside there, you can use a massage as one of them. If you're doing PT, that's one of them. Okay. If you're doing, I wanted to talk about trigger balls for just a second. So if you've heard me talk about trigger balls before, all they are, it's like if you've used a foam roller in the past, a trigger ball, it's whatever you use to rub those areas of your body that need to be less tight. Okay, let's just put it that way. That's the scientific term. Less tight. Or they might be the things that are like making you twitch. For instance, I mentioned earlier, like, okay, my left hip wasn't feeling good. Then I had options. One of them is I put a trigger ball on the ground or against the wall and I roll on it with my hip. Always remembering upstream, downstream, right? Just because the hip hurts or whatever it is, doesn't matter. Just because that particular body piece hurts, it doesn't mean that's the only place that's having the problem, right? You might be having IT issues. So that tight IT band might be pulling on your hip. Or you might have maybe your lower back is tight and that lower back is pulling on your hip. So So just think about like our bodies are not, our bodies are, remember the old, what was it, head bone connected to the knee bone thing? That's how our bodies are. So just know that you always want to be looking upstream and downstream of whatever isn't feeling great and work that area too. If you're using a trigger ball, you can use, when I call it a trigger ball, you can use a tennis ball for this. You can use a foam roller, doesn't matter. So that is something that you can do. I would still recommend, so now I'm gonna add a little bit more to what I told you to do. I would still recommend if you're doing the trigger ball, I would recommend also doing the warming up of the joints, rolling your ankles, rolling your knees, rolling your hips, rolling your shoulders, rolling your wrists, rolling your neck, like all of those things. It's 5 minutes. Doesn't take any time. So also, like other things that you could do in here, like one of them that I threw in here because I've done it before and I thought it was kind of interesting, aerial yoga. If you happen to have somewhere that you have a yoga studio, they probably have aerial yoga. Kind of weird when you first do it, but wow, it feels really good. It's like years ago, hanging off one of those gravity boots. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but I did it one time where you put your feet in the gravity boots or the non-gravity boots, whatever they are. You hang upside down like a bat. Feels pretty good. So you're looking for ways to warm up those joints. You're working for ways to stretch out before you get going. Or when you get done, yoga. Your cardio, you can step your cardio up a little bit. On your level 2, think about maybe doing stairs a couple of times. Think about like throwing a good hike in there on the weekend, if that's something that you like to do, or a good bike ride if you like to do that, or a great, kayak paddle or canoe or whatever it is you like to do. Like extend yourself out a little bit. If you do water aerobics are great for all levels. Just extend it out a little bit more, right? Like push it a little harder. And then for your resistance, you want to think about, like, once again, 1 to 3 times a week, doing something, at least bands, okay? At least bands. Body weight's good, light weights, suspension training, the old T-Rex, I think is what it's called. Pilates. Pilates is a great way to do resistance and stretching. But all of these things, I'm going to say it, you need to add them in, okay? They need to be added in. And then let's step over to level 3 real quick. When you get to level 3, so you've either been working out for a while, okay, and a while, probably 6 months, years, something like that, or you've been doing your other 2 levels and now you're working your way up. Then you want your mobility 5 times a week. I say on here 3 to 5, do it 5 times. Okay, just do it. Your body needs it. Our bodies need that stretching. And you know what? I'm going to say this because over the years, I have always said mobility is good enough if you're warming up your joints. That's good enough. I no longer believe that, actually. I no longer believe that. And I'm going to come back and say, I actually think that when you get done with whatever you're doing or the next day, you need to add in something that's a little bit more of a stretch. Yoga is my go-to, and yin yoga, you've heard me mention it a million times, but that is my go-to because it's gentle, but you're holding a pose for 3 to 5 minutes, right? Like I can hold a corpse pose for an hour. We're really not talking about corpse pose, like child's pose. I did child's pose the other day, and I realized the next day that, you know what? I hadn't been stretching the top of my feet because the top of my feet hurt. And it was nothing more than having those feet underneath you, back. You're in child's pose for a long time. And I felt it. So start adding some of that in. We need it. We really do. And even more, the more we do resistance and the more we do cardio, the more we need to add that stretching in. So then on your cardio, high intensity training is a great thing to do because it's effective and it's quick. So your high intensity training, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't do burpees. No way, no how. That's not part of my high intensity training. My idea of high intensity training is Maybe go outdoors and finding a hill, and you walk up it as fast as you can for 30 seconds, and then you saunter down for a minute. Either a 1-to-2 ratio or a 1-to-3 ratio, okay? Walk up as fast as you can for 20 seconds and then saunter down for a minute. But what you're doing is you're doing that push, relax, push, relax. And when you're doing that, what you're doing is you're giving your heart a workout. You're giving your body a workout, right? And then you're bringing that heart level, you're bringing that respiratory rate and that heart rate back down, okay? You get it back down, you push it again. And maybe you're doing this for, I don't know, warm up for 5 minutes, do your high intensity for 10 to 12 minutes, and then, cool down for 5 minutes. But find a rhythm where you allow yourself at least a couple of times a week to do that. That is the most effective when it comes to cardio that you can do. Then, of course, throw in your other your wild cards, the things that you enjoy doing on the weekends. Toss those in, right? And then if you're at level 3, I've got you for your resistance, doing 2 to 3 times a week. You need to be looking at either pushing yourself hard on your bands, pushing yourself hard on your body weight, or I would prefer to see you actually doing some sort of weight resistance. So a couple of things, and I don't train people as a personal trainer these days, but I like to suggest that you find one that you can go to at least for one time and just get some ideas. No disrespect, but find someone who's not brand new, who's not young, who's not used to really throwing a lot of weight around. Find someone who is experienced so that they can show you exactly what to do and keep it smart. Okay. If you're one of my clients and one of my members, we are actually going to do a call in a week or two where I will do the personal training. But what you want to do is you want to find somebody that you trust who's not going to push you too hard, but be willing to build. Okay. So if you're doing, and I'm just going to give you a for instance, let's say you're doing a particular exercise, you're doing curls and you're doing them with, I don't know, 5 pounds. And you've been doing them and they've gotten pretty easy and you can do 20 of them without thinking. Then it's time to up the ante. Okay. Maybe you go to 8 pounds, or maybe you go to a 1 pound on your wrist and then you do 15. But you really want to, the trick to resistance is always to find a way to build. So you're either building it with more sets, which is, how many times you do the whole exercise group, or more, you're doing more reps, which is how many times you do the actual exercise, or you're increasing your weight. But when you hit level 3, if you do this quiz and you're at a level 3, then you need to be willing to start stepping it up a bit when it comes to resistance. Resistance is the thing that's going to give you balance. It's the thing that's going to give you strength so that you don't have any issues. It's the thing that's going to build bones. It's the thing that's going to help with hormones. There's a million studies that have been done recently, just recently. When I say recently, within, let's call it the last 5 years, the knowledge that's coming out around what resistance training does for us is pretty shocking. And it's what's going to make you lose weight. I will have clients who will do anything to avoid resistance. They will tell me they want to lose weight, and I'll be like, "Great, here's a training program." And they will say, "I think I'm gonna quit eating," or I think I'm gonna do more cardio, or whatever it is. Those are not the things that are going to change our body at a certain point in time. Okay, so I'll just say it. All right, I'm going to stop here. If you have questions, please let me know. I know that I didn't slap the other Post-it notes up on the wall, but you get the idea. All you have to do is, let's say we're level 3. We're going to do resistance 3 times a week. We're going to do cardio 3 times a week. And we're going to do mobility 5 times a week. You just put it on each one of those Post-it notes. You put it up on your wall. You move it around if you need to. Um, Preferably on your resistance, you're allowing a day or two in between workouts to rest your body. But at the same time, if you need to move it around, you move it around. And in the end, all we really want to do is keep moving, stay consistent so that we can have all the fun, all the freedom, all the fitness that we want to have for our entire life. So let me know if you need anything. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye now.